This is Senator John Kerry. I wish I could have been able to be there with you in person, and I had actually planned to try to stop by. At the last minute, we have a vote scheduled for today, and so I have to be back in Washington. My schedule just doesn't allow it. But thank you for letting me lend my voice and my support to your project through this video. The truth is, there has never been a time when the world needed young people to be active in our politics more than today. Historically, every modern movement for change has been driven by the energy of young activists and organizers. I want to talk to you about a fight that young people worldwide must now urgently claim as your own. I regret to say that the planet that your parents and grandparents enjoyed so bountifully over past generations is being stolen from people your age. And even as we learn more and more about the devastation that unchecked climate change could bring in the decades to come, too many people in power have resisted taking bold preventative action to protect your future. To remind them of exactly what's at stake, a campaign has sprung with a simple slogan: how old would you be in 2050? The truth is, you don't have to look to 2050 to see the dangers. Today, in 2010, carbon pollution in our atmosphere has already skyrocketed to dangerous levels. In the industrial era, carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere have risen from 280 to 385 parts per million. Scientists have warned us that anything above 450 parts per million, which corresponds to a warming of 2 degrees Celsius, will result in catastrophic climate change. And yet, unless we slam on the brakes and fast, we're headed to 600, 700, 900 parts per million by the century's end. That means that no country is doing nearly enough to get the job done today. Unfortunately, the challenge in front of us is only growing. 2 years ago, the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, what we know as the IPCC, issued a landmark series of projections for global carbon pollution based on likely energy and land use patterns. Carbon pollution grew at a rate 4 times faster during the 2000s than it did in the 1990s. Today, our emissions have actually moved beyond the worst-case scenarios predicted by all of the IPCC models, and we can already see the impacts. Let me give you one example of what this means. To an alarming extent, our oceans are turning acidic. The fact is, man-made pollution is raising ocean acidity at least 10 times faster than previously thought, turning the waters corrosive for many shell-building animals. According to the journal Nature, this has potentially devastating consequences for corals and the marine organisms that build reefs and provide much of the Earth's breathable oxygen. Global warming may create dead zones in the ocean that would be devoid of fish and other marine life for thousands of years. And that's just one example of the consequences. Every corner of the natural world and many facets of our way of life risks being ravaged by a threat that truly is preventable if we summon the will and work together. The scale of the challenge is a lot to take in. I know it's sort of overwhelming, and you kind of say to yourself, how do I manage this by myself? But the fact is that if we bury our heads in the sand, we're going to pay a severe price, all of us, down the road. The fact is, every major emitter of yesterday, today, or tomorrow, all of us must do more. To those who are already fighting this fight, please keep it up. But to all the rest, talk to your peers, learn about the challenge, read about it, base your decision about what you do on facts, but get involved and don't take no for an answer. You know, when the American civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. went down to Birmingham, Alabama in the 1960s, in 1963, deep in the South of our country, in order to bring equal rights to African Americans, a group of old black preachers gave him a cautious message. They said, we believe in civil rights too, but what's the hurry? Slow down, go easy, don't rock the boat. Today we all celebrate that Martin Luther King didn't follow their advice. This wait, King said, has almost always meant never. 4 months later, Dr. King delivered his I Have a Dream speech. And history often forgets this, but he was just 34 years old at the time. That may seem ancient to some of you, or maybe all of you, but trust me, it's not. Dr. King's story is not an isolated incident. Young people have been at the vanguard of every great advance of progress, the heart of every social and political movement of the last 100 years. Young people went on hunger strike with Gandhi and marched on a nonviolent road to freedom. Young people brought down apartheid and dismantled the Berlin Wall brick by brick. And of course, young protesters have refused to be silenced in the streets of Iran, even when policemen's clubs rain down on the young and the innocent. History reveals a simple lesson. Do not doubt the power and strength and courage of people your age. When I was your age in the 1960s, Bob Dylan asked, "How much do I know to talk out of turn?" Trust me, you know plenty. So don't wait your turn, because too often wait becomes never. Whenever you feel a strong sense of right and wrong, talk out of turn, and the world will thank you. Enjoy the rest of your conference, and thank you for the privilege of letting me say a few words.